Hey guys, what's up? I'm here to give you guys a recap on a new episode of ReZero Starting Life in Another World Season 2 on episode 35, or just episode 10 in Season 2 of ReZero. Anyways, this episode right here was actually pretty interesting. I mean, we got to know a little bit of information on what's been going on, especially the secrets behind Ryuzu, I think her name is? I don't know. All I know is she's the pink-haired witch whatsoever. Ryuzu, yeah, Ryuzu. Pretty much, well, I don't know even why I called her a witch, but she looks like she's a magic user and all that, and she's not very knowledgeable the way how I look at it, but that aside. Anyways, like I said, there's some interesting stuff happening in this episode, especially that ending sequence and everything else all together, and looking forward to see what's going to happen in the next episode. Looks like to me, it did not become very ugly of a torturous cliffhanger, not much I can say. Call me Crazy Milanakas is saying that, but let's just get this started. It starts out with the beginning with Garfield and Subaru going after the or just running off into the forest right now, knowing that something bad's going to happen. We have to it that the Witch of Envy catches up to them. Garfield transforms into his monstrous tiger form whatsoever and has a bunch of Yuzus asking them to go attack her. But unfortunately for them, they did not stand a chance, but they were just mostly distractions for Garfield to try to take the attack. Unfortunately for him, he gets killed rather easily, effortlessly by the Witch of Envy's attacks. As for Subaru, he gets consumed by a bunch of darkness by the Witch of Envy, and he can't seem to move and realize it's mentally draining him or mentally torturing him. So he ends up looking at the lucky charm of a handkerchief that transforms itself into a weapon, and this is all thanks to Echidna, I guess. And he ends up taking his own life. And we have to it that before he really dies out, he ends up taking off the cloak off the Witch of Envy. It looks like to me it's a elf with the similar face, just like Amelia, you know. And she's crying in despair, and he says, "I promise I'll come save you no matter what. You got it," etc. Then he ends up starting at the same checkpoint with Amelia at the trial, and of course he ends up crying after seeing her waking up. And of course, there's some funny stuff here and there happening, while Garfield looks like he's acting very friendly, you know, while Ram insults him in a certain way that really makes things very funny. But that aside, looks like to me things still looking okay for the time being, and we have to it that Subaru asks Ram to actually keep an eye on Garfield because he's going to do something behind his back that might be a little upsetting for him, you know? Eventually, Subaru will later on use the memories that he's been given by the Witch of Envy to go to a certain location, and he ends up opening a door that has a insertion of a certain crystal-like object, you know? Which Subaru ends up using and opens up a door, and he ends up finding a strange girl encased in a crystal, pink-haired girl, which looks exactly like Ryuzu-san. And we had too that Ryuzu talks to Subaru for a bit, and actually there's multiples of her, which was shown at the beginning, and especially at the restart checking point, etc. And she also calls him the Apostle of Greed, you know, etc. And by that time, they end up having a little small talk with each other of what's up, you know. Especially with the facility of what's going on and the multiple Ryuzus, you know? The little pink-haired girl whatsoever. Not to be a little vague or a little much of a jerk like that, but that aside, we have to it that the facility with a bunch of Yuzus being made is to actually house the soul of the Witch of Greed, which is Echidna, you know? That was kind of like, at first I was confused of what's going on here and there, but eventually I understand the facility behind it, and we have to it that the Witch of Greed was trying to create multiple of these things to try to put her soul in it, but unfortunately it did not work, or it failed miserably, and later on the facility remains behind, and you know that pink-haired girl is still out there, you know, is still here, and etc. And of course they are made from some kind of mana core source whatsoever, and they don't need anything of supplements such as food, drinks, or something to keep stable or alive, you know, that kind of thing. But that aside, we have to it that nothing much has happened here and there, but all I know is like Ryuzu ends up talking to Subaru, like I said, and informs him why he's called the Apostle of Greed, because it looks like to me he has something on him that allows him to maybe give command to these Ryuzu people, pink-haired people, you know? Especially the one he's talking to right now. And apparently it's the one that he ends up drinking of body fluids of Echidna, you know? Which is, I go like, oh, isn't that a freaking like a funny thing? But that aside, the reason behind Ryuzu's creation is to house the soul of the Witch of Greed, Echidna. But unfortunately, you know, it failed miserably and nothing has been going on greatly ever since. But later on, Ryuzu would take on the habit of drinking tea and keep an eye on things and trying to run things smoothly in a certain way, you know? But that aside, yeah. It looks like to me they end up having this end of a talk thing where Subaru asks Ryuzu, please do not tell Garfield about this, okay? I have a bad feeling if he finds out, he'll literally have my head or something, etc. That aside, we also got to know that Garfield himself, he tried to take the trial as well, but it looks like to me he couldn't get past it. And even if he did, he may not be accepted. But that aside, he looks like to me he has the same control like Subaru to go talk to the to command the pink-haired little chicks whatsoever. That aside, we get to see Subaru having a talk to like Emilia after his talk with Ryuzu, etc. And Subaru gives her a couple of words of encouragement, saying, "I'll help you out as best I can, but you keep going, all right? I believe in you," etc. And we have to it that Subaru and Otto ends up having some comedic talk, but eventually the next day comes about where Subaru writes one letter and tells Emilia, "I'm gonna have to be off to go take care of something. Please do not worry about me. There's something I have to do that I can't tell you or Roswell about, but I will be okay and I will be back as soon as I can eventually, you know? So be careful yourself." And eventually he ends up riding with Patrus, the little black dragon, black dragon whatsoever, or yeah, Patrus. I don't know all I know is that's his name. I don't know how to pronounce it right. Please forgive me on that. But he ends up having to go on his way to Roswell's mansion, but unfortunately for him, he ends up running into Garfield first, who blocks his path and decides to interrogate him, you know? Because Garfield was suspicious about him ever since he had that smell of witch on him. And he ends up slamming him to a tree and warns the ground dragon to like stand back or I'll split your master in two. You got it? Of course, Subaru does not seem scared at all, and Garfield is really shocked to see how he's just smirking, you know? Eventually, Subaru might have said something, or he might have done something to tell Garfield that everything's gonna be okay, you know? I just gotta take care of something. Of course, Garfield does not want to let him go because he still believes Subaru is a bad guy since he has that nasty smell on him. But at the same time, though, Subaru says, "I know hell," and even though Garfield tells him, "You don't know pain or misery, okay? You don't even know what the hell we went through here," but Subaru says, "I know hell," okay? And and let's be honest, we all know Subaru went through hell. That's the fact. Let's get that in check, alright? He went through hell in Season 1 and now in Season 2, and how he died and how he had to see Garfield's monster form whatsoever, etc., you know? And we have to it that, like, he asked Garfield to let me go, you know? My goal is to help Emilia, but I gotta take care of some things first. I'm not here to cause you trouble or misery, and I know I'm gonna be a pain in the butt to you, but you gotta trust me on this. I will never betray Emilia, and I will not cause you guys any trouble. That much I swear with all life given to me. If I am, then you're more than welcome to kill me too. But we have to it, he asked Garfield just to let him go and then let him take care of this. Like, he knows Garfield pretty much has his eye on him, but Subaru tries to convince him, "I know hell, but you gotta trust me on this. I'm not here to bring you misery or suffering, you know? I will be back, but just not now. So let me handle what I need to handle." And Garfield, on the other hand, reluctantly decides to let him go, even though like he does not want to. And eventually we see the ending scene where like Subaru tells Petra and Frederica to go on ahead to go somewhere to hide or something, and then he'll meet up with them eventually, you know? And, you know, funny stuff here and there with Petra and Subaru, blah, blah, blah. I could give two whatever. But that aside, we have two that Subaru goes to Byakuo or Beatrice, and they end up talking to each other. And it looks like Byakuo, in a certain way, is actually getting ready to possibly help Subaru. But the way how it ended like that, it looks like to me there's some light and hope, since Beatrice or Byakuo goes like, you know, it has to be you, you know? And pretty much the episode ends off there, you know? So, yeah. Alright, like, sorry for being very vague and confusing, but, you know, there's some information that was given between Subaru and Ryuzu and the behind-the-scenes facility, you know? The reason why these little pink-haired chicks or witches or something, I don't even know why I decided to call it a witch, they end up having to have a function where they're supposed to house the Witch of Greed, which is Echidna, which did not work out so well. So, yeah, they still multiplying like hell, but they still have their own orders to follow, you know? And Ryuzu, the one that it's in a different coat whatsoever, is the one that's pretty much knowledgeable. I guess you could say the leader of the group, or smartest, I guess. But we also get to know Garfield is the one that tried to take the trial too, but did not go so well for him. And we have to it that eventually he will interrogate Subaru because he has that nasty witchy smell on him. But, you know, that aside, he decides to let Subaru go because it looks like to me he knows Subaru is not really lying at all, or he's just decides to let his guard down and believe Subaru for the time being because he's not, you know, much of a bad guy, even though he has that nasty smell on him. Anyways, pretty slick episode. Looking forward to the next one. Hopefully, it'll bring much more joy and hope than the last couple of episodes of its nasty cliffhangers. Because let's be honest with each other. Those cliffhangers in the last couple of episodes were nasty, 100%. Even though Subaru went through hell many times, and he explained to Garfield, but he didn't say it explicitly since he doesn't have the right to. But, anyways, yeah. Sorry for rambling on and being a little confusing. Looking forward to the next episode. Hopefully Subaru will get help from Beatrice and things go well for him. Guess we're about to find out, right? So until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm Alpha Zero. Have a good day. I'll see you guys next time, alright? Peace out. Bye-bye. Toot-toot-toot!